All right, little news. It's not final, but JL got bought out by Garmin. Garmin also bought years ago. This was, I think, you can Google it. I think it was like 2014. Garmin, fucking GPS bullshit. Good for Garmin though, because like they made those GPS things for your mom, and for people like Big D Wiz, and they saw that integrated into the phone, and so there was really no need for a standalone unit anymore, and they pivoted. They used the tons of cash that they had to go start acquiring other companies that were cash flow positive and they saw a future for. And one of those companies was Fusion. So Fusion only does marine audio now. And they used to have an office here in North Phoenix. And I visited him a couple of times. So, and it was kind of cool. He's like, I forget who it was. One of the guys was asking me, he's like, what's the name of your company? I was like, Robot Underground. He's like, no, that's a fucking name. I was like, yeah, that's right, motherfucker. So, but I used to just buy them for, I used to buy stuff from them, like their accessories, but they splashed in and out, and they tried a little bit of retail sales in a place called Fry's Electronics, which no longer exists. And I think maybe Best Buy, and then they got acquired by Garmin, and then the brand kind of disappears. I think these Wall Street firms like this, any company that's like publicly traded, they just have so much money. But this is what I was talking about in that, excuse me. This is what I was talking about when Wall Street comes knocking, like BlackRock, those types of investors, they can just vacuum up your life's work for nothing, and they're going to turn it into something. What's funny is most of the money they make is not even like through actual sales. Most of the money they make is just their stock going up, and then leveraging whatever they're buying. Like in this case, Garmin is buying JL Audio. Just the hype around that, they have been able to sort of monetize that portion of it. And then, you know what, any money that they look like, when things look like a profit or whatever, or they take the profits, then they buy back more shares for themselves. It's really kind of, it's gross on that end, because you just see this giant consumption of a monster that is, Wall Street and those types of banks and investments. But from this side, so one of the first things I did when I heard about, again, it's not final. They just have a purchase agreement. It doesn't mean it's going to go through. It just is a purchase agreement. So, but I sent off a text to the guys at Recoil, and I was like, hey, tell Scoondog, which is Jeff Scoon over there at JL Audio, tell him congrats, because a guy in his age and in his position, this would be his exit moment, where whether he's vested or he has shares in JL, this is where a big bank, basically a big buyout, somebody with deep pockets, would buy a trophy brand like JL Audio. Same thing happened with Harley Davidson. Remember that? Harley Davidson was running through some money problems, and because people didn't want to spend money on bullshit bikes and the fucking Goldwing. They're like, fuck you and your Goldwing. But yeah, and then AMG, the sports equipment company that made the helmets for your retarded brother and also bowling balls, was able to buy Harley Davidson. And then who else? What was it? Rogers? I forget the name of the company. I think it was like an Australian building supplier that bought Rockford. So, but for all these guys that are here local that have lived a really, really, really good life, and then they get this big buyout at the very end, like that's a really, really good life. And so There's not much to find online about Jeff Schoon, but he did a lot of interesting work. I'll say that. I would love for somebody to do a biography on him. So if anybody's watching, have Big D Wiz or Jeff Moreland. If he really wants to go after an interview, talk to Jeff Schoon. That's a have. He certainly won't have me do the interview. I'm a bit rough around the edges, but that's why you guys like me on this channel. But and I did want to save you time. The other car audio news was speaking of Jeff Moreland released part 4 of the RoboWars podcast interview that he did with Big D Wiz. Super let down. They spend 95% of the time sucking each other's flaccid penises. It's pretty gross. It's like they're not even putting their penises together. It's just like two lumpy ball sacks like mushing together. And thank you for coming on. Thank you for having me on. It's a fucking waste of time. And I was not surprised by anything that Big D Wiz said. That he's into Mr. Beast and he has an iPhone. Like he's like my mother. And what's funny is the way that Big D was talking about the affiliate program with Down for Sound, which is again, all these companies, Sundown, Down for Sound, and then all these content creators, right, with these shills, like Big D Wiz, Jeff Moreland, Hi-Fi Vega, who else? Basehead, whatever, Bradley or whatever the fuck his name is, EXO, all those guys. Those guys are ripe for a buyout, and they will take it and they will get it. And there's always money for the house Negroes. Okay? There's always money for somebody that's willing to sell out everybody else so that they can live better. They're like, well, Patrick, would you do that? I'm like, well, nobody's offered me $1 million for a robot, but if they did, I'd probably just move on and go do the other things that I want to do. And I'd do some fucking punk, rad shit stuff in movies and other fields. I would always, again, I have dozens of brands in development that I'm working on that it's more appropriate for some of these brands that I'm working on to sell along with a screenplay and then also produce and direct, a feature film or something like that, and add these off the shelf products into the mix when you're selling something. So that's really how you sell a brand, right? You put it in a movie, because if you're paying to get into a movie, you're on the bitch end of the stick. And you got to pay through the nose. Does it pay very well? Yes, but you got to have that big money in order to help pay for production. So take what is it? Is it Reese's? Yeah, what was it? Steven Spielberg, when he made E.T., he asked was it Eminem? No, yeah, it was Eminem Mars. I think he asked for the M&Ms, and at the time they were like, no, but we'll let you have something. I can't remember now. Fuck, because I thought Reese, they were part of, or they aren't part of M&M Mars. But anyways, at the time, Reese's Pieces was just this humble little candy company, and they were like, yeah, we'll put Reese's Pieces in your movie. That's rad, thanks. They were just glad to have the business. And that's the kind of humility that I want to bring to car audio. I want to bring to sales and consumption of all kinds of goods and services. Is that just, people like somebody like Hi-Fi Vector, who builds his own fucking dyno machines. That's fucking rad. We send him equipment and he gets to keep it, and he does testing for us. And that's great for the brand. That's great for him. And it works out fine. So when you get somebody that starts to, I say who, I say when, I say who. With somebody like Big D Wiz, who is like, yeah, I'll suck your dick. Just, give me $5,000 and I'll get you a slot. I'll come on over and put your wiener through the glory hole. Yeah, I'll put your balls in there too. That's fine. those kinds of guys, it's kind of gross, right? Like when a girl finds out that she's hot and she starts acting that way, you're like, ugh, I gotta go. So anyways, don't waste your time with the part 4. It's just kind of a letdown. And again, 2 flaccid penises rubbing together is actually more entertaining. I mean, just have that in your head, and it's pretty great, especially if they got like beer bellies, and normally they're really hairy, but they shave up for the interaction, and so it's kind of like, especially if they add some oil or something like that. I'm just saying. Imagine that stuff, but anyways, yeah, and it's both of them are like homophobic, but they're like, I never do this, but we're 2 guys helping each other out. That's fine. Anyways, congratulations to Jeff Schoon for having a cutting edge career and then taking a nice buyout at the end so he can spend the rest of his life with his family and have lots and lots of money to leave, society or his kids or whatever the fuck he wants to do. And then, and then also the last thing I wanted to talk about was just about how replaceable everything is. Now, these guys, all that are shills, they're completely replaceable. And if anybody wants to come in and have a better shill game, go for it. Be a better shill. Be a better salesman. So that's the ultimate sales car audio guy or used car guy. Whatever piece of shit you want to sell that's overpriced. JP is probably the top leader of that kind of energy. Like, oh, I got a big dick. It's like, we haven't really seen your dick, but you can act like you have a big dick. So. But, whatever. If you like looking at JP's muscles and you like his hair or something like that, I don't know. Or even just that kind of sales where he acts like he's your friend, but he's, fucking your sister in the butthole. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not for me, and I've never liked that. I've never liked the competition aspect that brings out the worst in people. I did the same thing with skateboarding. I did not like going to competitions. The only reason why I went to competitions is because they had the best props. That was it. They had the best ramps, the best props, but they were like owned by rich people and they were super snobby. Like the skateboarding community that I grew up in, like we would like jump a fence to a abandoned house to skate their pool. Like that was the kind of community and people that I hung around. Like we would like get on a roof somewhere on a or a construction site or something like that. It was like basically a semi-criminal type of affair just so that we could have fun and skateboard. And I never liked the commercialization of skateboarding, the way that especially after I started getting out and growing up, they did something called focus. When you focus a board, that's when you break it. That's like the most dumb thing ever, but it sold lots and lots of skateboards, and it got a lot of dumb rich kids into skateboarding who would do just that. It was right when they the mid 90s, early basically when I got too old for skateboarding, and I just loved spending time by myself with maybe music and skateboarding and just having fun, not really thinking about anybody else or any sort of challenge. And then if you can find someone, especially a stranger, and just skateboard together and then compliment each other, and then next thing you know, you're behind the dumpster and you're sucking each other's dicks, and it's like spit in my mouth. I'm like, all right, that's cool. And then if you can find a slutty chick to do that kind of stuff too, that was fucking rad. That's the kind of cool skateboard culture that I grew up in, and that I liked. So there's like this one girl that was like, she's like, "Will you finger bang me?" I was like, "All right, I finger bang you." And then she like, I went to go put the wiener in. The wiener was way too big for that thing, and turns out I didn't find out till like years later that she was a virgin. But when I went to put the wiener in, she says. Well, none of the other guys had any problems. I was like, oh, that's not a great thing to say. But for somebody that's really, really innocent and immature, like I can see why somebody would say that because she didn't want to be shamed. So, but anyways, that's my tangent of a life, and it's not professional. I think the professionalization is the cancer of human dignity and the spirit of freedom and of life. And I think that's what I don't like. And I'm juxtaposed in that what I really want to do is retire so that I can go do rad shit all the time. But in order to do that, you got to have a retirement. And so then you go, how do I retire? And if you're a landlord, right? Everybody, even Robert Kiyosaki tells you how to do it through being a landlord, but that's like a parasitic. I didn't think it was a parasitic thing, and it doesn't have to be a parasitic thing, but that's a parasitic way to be free from the system, to not have to go to a job every day. So again, I think there's a better way to do it, and the way that we can do it is, again, help each other. And, just don't be afraid to give another guy a hand job, especially that weirdo guy that's kind of antisocial, and then after you give him the hand job, like, he won't leave you alone and all this kind of stuff. He's like, let's play fucking Pokemon. And you're like, God damn it, get the fuck out of here. So, anyways, all this stuff is I'm just playing. So it's funny. Love you guys. I will talk to you later. This was just a little rant and news about car audio. Here's a bunch of car audio stuff that I'm so rich, bitch. I got all the fuse holders you want. And right now, Sherry doesn't want to cook, so we're going to go get Panda. Oh, God, I love the fortune cookies at Panda. I have a chocolate dessert that I want to create, again, for a movie as a promo tie-in. As a way to launch a candy brand, because it's very, very difficult to launch something like a candy brand. And I want to use whoever makes Panda's fortune cookies, because they're sweet in a way that's not too sweet, and it's the good crunch and all this kind of stuff. I really, really like them. Like, this is my favorite part of eating Panda. So anyways, those are my passions. Anyways, I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.